I'm Robert from PInshakers, and in this video I'm going to show you how to install the shaker motor into the pinball machine. Now this video is going to be for the shaker motor installation only. There'll be a separate video for the installation of the driver board and the wiring harness. So let's talk about the tools you're going to need. A drill, a 1/4 inch drill bit, a hammer, Phillips screwdriver, a deep socket, right around a 1/2 inch or so, a 5/16 inch socket and extension, or a large flathead screwdriver. As far as the materials, you should have been provided with the motor, a motor shield, 2 shield screws, 4 T-nuts, 4 5/16 inch drive screws, 4 slotted screws, and a drill guide. Now what's included in your kit is this guide, and it has printed on it, says top, so you know which way to orient it. It says WPC DMD, and that's going to be the type of machine that you have. In this case I have a Williams Hurricane. And there's going to be an up arrow. What you want to do is place it so that up arrow is pointed towards the side of the cabinet. Now what we've noticed with these motors is that you're going to get the smoothest shake with the motor as far to the side of the cabinet as possible and as far forward as possible. Now in this particular machine we can't put it in this front compartment. It's got the coin interface door, some switches. So instead we're going to put it back here. Now what you want to do is you're going to push the guide all the way to the side of the machine. Now in some newer machines, if you look, you see this reinforcement block. This block actually goes all the way to this divider. In that case, what you're going to have is a different guide, and you're just going to place the guide all the way to the base of this reinforcement block. But for this one, we'll put it over in this area right there. All right. So you're going to take your motor. Usually you're going to install it with the wiring plug towards the cabinet, because your connector is going to come like so. And go ahead and place it so that you can see the holes are pretty much lined up with the holes on the guide. It doesn't have to be perfect right now. We're just trying to get our a mock-up sizing. So then you're going to take the shield, and as you can see right here, I'm getting caught up in some things, so I'm going to move it forward some. And right there, line up with the mounting holes of the shield, and it looks like everything's pretty well clear. So that's going to be the spot that you want it. So go ahead and take that off. Take the motor. So now we're ready to drill our hole. So you're going to get your drill. Again, it's a 1/4 inch drill bit. It's going to be easier if you have a nice, strong cordless drill. And now you're going to align the bit up with the pre-drilled holes on your guide. Now as you're drilling your hole, you got to make sure that you keep the drill perpendicular to the bottom of the cabinet. You do not want to come in here and mess around drilling at an angle at all. And what's going to happen if you do is when you go to install your T-nuts, they're not going to install right. They're going to be at an angle. You won't get the screws in right. It's going to be a little bit more difficult on these front holes, especially if you have something in the way up here. If there's like some kind of a switch or whatever, go ahead and just remove that now. Take your time. All right, so let's go ahead and start with this first one right here. A neat little trick, once you get that first hole in, you can take one of the T-nuts and place it in like this. All right, and you can hold it just like that for the next one. And that'll help keep it, because you don't want this sliding around on you. All right. So now, before we continue, what you're going to want to do is make sure you have a vacuum. Go ahead and vacuum all this out. Now, in your kit, you were provided with 2 different types of screws here, because you have your choice. You can either have the install done with the 5/16 inch drive screws, or you can use the slotted ones. Now with the slotted ones, you're going to need, a flathead screwdriver And it's just going to be a little bit tougher, especially when you get to these back screws, to try to, because there is going to be some force required to tighten up the screws with the T-nuts. So if you can, I definitely recommend you use the 5/16 screws, and with that you're going to need this 5/16 socket and this extension. So now we're going to take our T-nuts and we're going to go ahead and place them in here. And you take, this is where that 1/2-inch socket comes into play. And this, so you know you're not slamming in your fingers, it just makes it a little bit easier. You go ahead and hammer these in as far as they'll go. Alright, so that's probably about as far as that's going to go for that one. So that's fine. It'll, when we tighten up the screw, it's going to pull it in the rest of the way. Okay, so now once we got these started, we can go up top and screw the rest of it in. So next you're going to take your motor, and you go ahead and put the screws in. It makes it easier. You don't have to force it down or you may pop out one of the T-nuts. So you're going to take your drill. Now what you're going to have to do is reach under and hold the T-nut as you're drilling this in. That way it just helps to keep the T-nut from popping out. Alright, so now you don't have to tighten it all the way. I go on to the next one first. Get each one where they have like a nice bite to it. Alright, so this one popped out. Now you're going to be able to feel, as it goes in, you'll feel the T-nut get flush. So now let's take a look at what we're going to have to do with this one that popped out here. Alright, so as you can see, we've got these ones here. They're nice and flush all the way in. That's exactly where you want it. You don't want to have any gap there. This one, however, having some issues with it. I mean, this is particle board, so the T-nut itself did not stick in all the way. And I can see that the little prongs have bent. So I'm going to have to probably go ahead and get pliers here and go back up top and unscrew it to get it to pull this one back out. Alright, so I got this T-nut out here, and it could be that I just didn't hammer it in as far as I should have. And so pulling it back out, what you can notice is one of the little prongs is bent over. So you're going to get your pliers and go ahead and straighten that back up. So make sure you do that before you try reinstalling it again, because you don't want these prongs to be bent over when it pulls it in, otherwise it won't fit flush. So, alright, so I'm going to go ahead and reinstall this. Okay, so now that we have the shaker motor installed, we're almost done. I'm going to go ahead and plug in this harness right there. Make sure you move all your slack towards the back of the cabinet. You want all this slack for your harness back there. That way, if you go to fold the back box down, nothing gets tugged or anything like that out of place. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and install the shield. We'll take the 2 Phillips screws that were included in the kit. And that's going to be it. So thank you for watching, and please visit us at www.PInshakers.com. Thanks.